Walsh and Joe Lisi here on SportsGrid. It is Pro Football Today, an hour until we begin Week 1 Sunday action, and we will be looking towards the quarterbacks to carry the day. That's how the slate works. So let's put a spotlight on some of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I tell you, folks, when I first started working with Joe Lisi, there was one guy who was clearly his guy, but he left him up for grabs. So I took him. And now I am the Joe Burrow guy, because I'm picking the Cincinnati Bengals, in case you missed it, to win Super Bowl 60. Burrow was tossed aside by Lisi for a different LSU quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who we will talk about momentarily. Joe, what are your expectations for Burrow and Cincinnati in week number 1 against the Cleveland Browns?
Well, it's going to shock you. They could be on upset alert.
Yeah, like I said, used to be the Burrow guy.
No.
Used to be.
No.
Used to be.
No, I love Joe Burrow.
No.
I think if there's
you
one.
like Burrow.
No. If it was up to me, and we're talking preseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought that Baltimore and Buffalo should have been ahead of Kansas City because they never beat them in the postseason. And you can't base something on paper just because, right? You could readjust once you see the games being played. But from a preseason perspective, the only team I would have put worthy right behind the Kansas City Chiefs would have been Joe Burrow and Cincinnati. You know, again, that's all barring whether they start fast. They've started slow the past 3 seasons, 0-2 right out of the gate last year. You lose as a 7.5-point home favorite to New England. And this line, just from the gambling wagering perspective, is very fishy to me. It's a 5.5 number. It hasn't moved. All the perception in the public on Cincinnati, they played all their starters in the preseason. The chemistry is there. This line should be 6, 6.5. We haven't seen that. It's dead at 5.5. Something's up. I think it's a lower scoring game today. Doesn't change my assessment on the Bengals. I still think they're live, to your point, to win an AFC championship.
Yeah.
I do believe that Joe Burrow is the real deal. He could throw for 5,000 yards this season and maybe 45 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But in this game, give me the Browns.
Yeah, again, like I said, you used to be a Burrow guy. Also, you tell me if I'm doing this right, but congrats, you're a wheel. It's down to 4.5. Everybody loves Cleveland today. Why?
No, everybody loves Cleveland.
No,
they don't.
They love Cleveland. I've put my ear to the ground right where it needs to be, and the talk is how much Joe Burrow and the Bengals start slow. A couple of seasons ago, they lost to Cleveland in a game in week number 1 where Burrow threw for less than 100 yards, 24-3. How about last year against New England? A terrible Patriots team. They lose 16-10. Oh, apparently it's Groundhog Day. Everybody's got the script. This is why Burrow and the Bengals played their starters in preseason. I like Cincinnati over a first-half team total. 13.5 is one of my absolute favorite plays on our slate today. And I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase light it up like they do. And I'm backing Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl, so they better start it off with a win against what I think is the worst team in football. Now, if I can get to your real favorite quarterback.
Oh, stop.
The guy who you completely pushed Burrow aside for in Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner who last year was in the NFC Championship game. Don't bring up how that game actually went, please. But he was there, Joe. He was there.
Yeah.
Today he starts in a divisional matchup against the New York Giants, and Terry McLaurin's there. They had Deebo Samuel. They kept Cliff Kingsbury. They had Larry Tunsil up front. What do you expect from your guy, Jaden Daniels?
So we've broken these games down all off season.
Sure.
And I told you when it was 7 and 6.5 that I like the Giants to at least potentially make it a competitive game, right? It's not because I'm high on Brian Dable or Russell Wilson. Just because all off season, how bad they were, and now the playmakers that they have, to your point, Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors in New York, I think could put up points this year. And in a week 1 matchup against Washington, a team that they traditionally play very tough, I think they could have covered the 6.5-point number. And then I see 2 primetime games with divisional matchups come, and Dallas covers the 8.5, and the Chargers cover and win outright against the Chiefs. And now we've seen this line fluctuate from 6.5 to 5.5 about a week ago, and then all of a sudden they brought it back up to 6.5. I'm not betting this game anymore, but I would still lean to the Giants to keep it close. I still think Jaden Daniels is the real deal. When Cleveland potentially knocks off Cincinnati, you'll be off the Burrow train, and I'll pick him back up because I believe in both of these guys. But Jaden Daniels, again, has the potential to lead this team to the playoffs. Am I as high on Jaden Daniels and saying they're going to be a 14-win football team this year? No. They have to go up against the Philadelphia Eagles that clearly have a mismatch issue, meaning for Washington. They don't match up well with the Eagles. Right. I think if they played 100 times with this roster, the Eagles would beat them at least 97 times. That's just the way it goes. They just match up that much. They're on their way to competing and closing the gap with Philly, but they're not there yet. In this matchup against the Giants, they should win, but I have cover issues. I would still take the points with the Giants. I do feel potentially we go under the total, though. Even though my heart says over, that number 45.5 is tricky.
So for Jaden Daniels today, I'm very interested in what he does on the ground. I don't think it's nothing that Jaden Daniels' lone preseason performance saw him run into the end zone. I think that is noteworthy, a 14-yard rushing touchdown. From this game, though, I love the Giants.
Love the Giants.
Oh, no. I love the New York Giants.
All right.
Here's the thing, though. I actually think that Washington, Joe, they could get, even if the record doesn't get better, they could get better, right? One of those type of situations. But I think the New York Giants can make the playoffs. I know the schedule is difficult. Guess what? You ever hear of an upset? Was the Commanders' schedule easy every year when we predicted it? Was the Texans' schedule 2 years ago? The Texans that now we put into the playoffs every year? The reality is the New York Giants have the best vibes in football right now. Russell Wilson's been less annoying. Jackson Dart's got nothing but aura. He's going to check into this game. Jameis Winston's been an absolute treat. And I'm the last man alive who still thinks Brian Daboll is a good coach.
Okay.
I'll take the 6.5 points. The Commanders are an upset alert. Another QB we have to spotlight here is a QB that at some points I didn't know if he was going to actually be playing on this slate, and that's LA's Matthew Stafford. He is playing. And Stafford we expect now to play, I guess, until he's not here. Joe, what are you expecting from Matthew Stafford in week one against what is supposed to be a great defense in the Houston Texans?
I think there's the potential for him to struggle. I'm a little leery of his situation with the neck and everything he's dealt with in the offseason.
Yeah.
I'm not buying into L.A. Completely as being the best team in the division. I've been on them over the past couple of years. I'm jumping off. I believe in the Arizona Cardinals this year as a dark horse. Put them out when they were plus 420. In this game, I'm a little concerned, though. You have a very active front seven led by Will Anderson, a team that got after it, especially against Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to blitz Matt Stafford multiple times today, and I think that's the issue. We're seeing threes in the market. I like the Texans to potentially strike the upset. I do feel we go through the total of 43.5 today.
I'm playing the total as well, and part of it because I don't trust Stafford over the course of this season to be fully healthy. I think there are legitimate concerns. We'll talk to the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, about that and what his assessment is of Stafford, who's playing here in week number one. But he is playing in week number one, and there is a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball with the newly added Devontae Adams playing alongside Puka Nacua. And for Houston, I know that this is a defense-first football team, but I still think C.J. Stroud, in moments, can hang with the spot where I think he's going to have to, right? I worry about that offensive line, again, over the course of a season here, but I think we're going to see these two teams play through what is a lower total. We'll talk more about all of this with NFL insider Adam Kaplan coming up next right here on Pro Football Today.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Donnie, the season is 6 months, 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month. That is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's a Yankee tax and a Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes what. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at it through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Pro Football Today here on SportsGrid, now joined by NFL insider Adam Kaplan. And despite I think Cap and I wanted to probably figure out if I'm a little too high on the New York Giants, we'll stick with the stories around another NFC East team, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. Despite starting 1-0, Cap, the Eagles left that game with a couple of question marks, primarily around, is Jalen Carter all right? And I know that, you know this team and this organization well. What have you heard about the reaction and the fallout of Jalen Carter, who was ejected before they ever had a defensive snap for spitting on Dak Prescott?
Yeah, he never wound up playing. It's a crazy story. So, look, they know that this can't happen. Carter has apologized to his teammates, coaches. He's owned up to it. He knows he can't do it. They said it'll never happen again. Look, if we really study Jalen Carter's history, if you go back to college at Georgia and high school, he had pretty significant issues with maturity. Now, I could tell you, Kevin, since he's been with the Eagles, for the most part, he's done the right thing. Like he's actually a pretty reserved guy. That's the strangeness of the spitting incident, which we all saw if you watched the game. He's done pretty much well behind the scenes, as I understood it. But this is something that cannot happen. Now, Kevin, you saw the coaches, Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, Clint Hurt, the defensive line coach. They had a it's called a sudden change. They all of a sudden had to change up their personnel. They dressed 4, so they finished the game with 3. Actually, played the whole game with 3, and they primarily played with 2. Byron Young, who was claimed off waivers last year from the Raiders, who they had a good training camp, made the team. He played very, very well. Moro Ojomo is a first-year starter, a 7th rounder 2 years ago. So that becomes a problem, man. If Jalen Carter is suspended, and honestly, when I first looked into this, I'm like, there's no way he's going to get suspended because it'll be a heavy fine because there's really no precedent for this. But I'm telling you, when the league is cracking down on sportsmanship, it's a big emphasis for them. I'm telling you that it would not surprise me if they want to set an example here, and if Carter gets at least a game suspended without pay. We'll see what happens. There's no ruling yet. This will happen very quickly because the Eagles have to prepare for Kansas City, and that I would expect something by the end of business day, sometime on Monday afternoon. I expect us to find something out, and then of course he could appeal it. That's the other part of it. Get an immediate appeal. So I'm interested to see what happens here. But you saw, Kevin, the Cowboys don't run the ball very well. You saw Javonte Williams score 2 touchdowns. Miles Sanders had that big run. Zach Bond saved the day, obviously with that great tackle. But they're a different team without Jalen Carter. You're talking about Not only is he their best defensive player, Kevin, you talk about one of the best defensive players, front seven players in the National Football League.
Cap, big game later today. We got the 49ers and Seahawks.
Yeah.
All of a sudden on Thursday, Christian McCaffrey pops up. What a supposed calf injury. He'll play today. What are you hearing around Christian McCaffrey, and should 49er fans start to panic?
Well, I wouldn't panic, but here's why I unless something happens, Joe, and we have to discuss this. It's going inside football here. Unless something happens to McCaffrey with his calf injury, we expect him to play. Now, how do I know this? Saturday is the key day for roster moves, Joe. They have till 4 p.m. Eastern clubs do for if you're playing on Sunday. They had a running back on the practice squad, Sincere McCormick, formerly of the Raiders. They didn't elevate him. Not only is McCaffrey hurt, but Jordan James, who's their fourth back, who's on their 53-man roster, rookie, fifth round out of Oregon, he's not going to play today. He's got a finger injury. He's not been cleared. You can't go into a game with two backs. If they thought McCaffrey wasn't going to play, they absolutely would have had McCormick on the roster. So again, unless something happens in pregame warmups, now I've learned for fantasy, Joe, playing fantasy for about 34, 35 years, I always make sure, because strange things happen for these late games. I watch the inactives. I make sure I have another running back going in the late games or with those dual Monday night games, because you can never be so sure. Whether you're playing daily fantasy, if you're looking at the fantasy props, just make sure he's active before you turn everything in.
Cap, Micah Parsons is set to make his debut for the Green Bay Packers. It's tough to know how much of Micah Parsons we will see. Have you heard anything out of Green Bay or even on how Parsons has been acclimating to his new franchise?
Yeah, he got through practice this week. Okay. You know, I know he's got the back injury, by the way, the back issue is real. I know the Cowboys, before he was traded, when he had the MRI, said it was clean, but he does have a back issue. Though, what they have to, first of all, this is a new scheme for him, right? He played, although Dan Quinn did it with him, and Matt Eberflus, their new defense coordinator, and Mike Zimmer, would stand him up. The Cowboys, their 43 is different from the Packers' 43. The Packers moved to a 43 front last year. I expect them to move Micah Parsons around, and as we discussed at the trade, Kevin, this is a game changer. They had one good pass rusher with Rashawn Gary, and I know the Lions have an outstanding offensive line. For as many snaps that Parsons is out there, I expect Jeff Hafley, their very aggressive defense coordinator, to figure out a way to exploit matchups. Hafley's a pretty smart guy. Remember the former head coach of Boston College? He changed their scheme. Remember, for a couple of decades, they were at 34 front. Now they run at 43.
Cap, the game in MetLife today, Aaron Glenn, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers comes back. What are you hearing just about Aaron Glenn and coaching up the young players today? Justin Fields will get the start against his former team. What's the mindset of New York entering the season?
Joe, it's a great question. It's funny. That was not on my rundown, but I'm going to give you a nice little intel here. So basically, one person for the Jets told me in recent weeks, he's kind of changed the culture in a way. More demanding, because he knows that building, obviously, because he played there. He understands ownership, and a lot of things have gone on for several years, and he's brought in the right attitude. There's more accountability. I'm not criticizing, Joe, anyone who was there before. I'm just telling you what I know about the situation, and according to a team source. Once he got hired, Glenn, because Glenn knew what was going on previously, he just is brought in a little bit more discipline. And now, again, that doesn't mean they're going to go 10-7. 11-6. I'm just telling you from your question, just the culture, that's what he's done now. Look, this is a tough matchup against the Steelers today. We know that. But that's what, with all the losing that they've had, Joe, you know they got to bring a better culture. We'll see what happens with this football team. I'm not expecting to be a playoff team, but bringing the right attitude and getting more accountability was the big thing.
It's going to be so fun to watch this season play out, and we will be helped all season figuring out everything around this league by NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Cap, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, great stuff as always, again, from NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Coming up next, we're going to talk to the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, and get a little bit more information on Christian McCaffrey, get a little bit more information on Xavier Worthy, who we heard about this morning with the dislocated shoulder and what that outlook is for Kansas City, and all of the other injury news related to today's Sunday slate. It is Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi here on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, yeah. I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football, because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced. The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more, because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
So game one, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
Oh,
I was like, yeah, Jalen Hurts. I was like, and then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, oh, it's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today, joined by the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, and the team over at SixScore.com, who help us throughout each and every NFL season. What a treat to have Doc here. What a treat, Doc, to be able to look at who's got the green square, who's got the yellow, and where are those dreaded red squares over on SixScore.com.
Yeah, we're excited here. We got a full war room behind us for the first time in a while. The screens are rolling, all the connectivity and so forth. And look, we got 8 games this morning. We got 8 people in here, everyone on a game, and so we don't miss any of the action.
Fantastic.
And we're also excited that we're going live from the war room on SportsGrid with Steve Fezzik right at 2:30 for actionable halftime stuff for the first game here. We'll be debuting that show on SportsGrid with from the War Room Live with Steve Fezzik.
Fantastic stuff. Again, that'll be can't miss, just in case there are, even though we don't want it, Doc, some injuries that do pop up throughout this slate. One injury that had people panicking is Christian McCaffrey, because last year McCaffrey was fine, and then week 1 he didn't play, and you know how the rest went. What is your team's assessment of CMC on this Sunday?
Well, we thought the DMP on Friday was fait accompli, and it turned out that way. It looked like he was favoring his right calf in warm-ups a little bit. We are a little bit surprised that he appears to be playing, according to Schefter and Rappaport. And that's good news. We all knew it was minor, but it's risky to play through a calf injury and make it worse. You can't win a division the first week of the season, but you can lose one. So hopefully that means it was more of a cramp, but we still see more of a usage split between Brian Robinson and maybe even Pacheco and Christian McCaffrey. I don't see how they're going to run him into the ground week 1.
Doc, 1 o'clock matchup in Indianapolis. You have a 6 score for the Colts of 91. The Dolphins come in at 85. Reading your report, though, it seems like they're decimated coming into this matchup.
Yeah, there's no question. And thanks for looking at that. That's one of the bigger advantages this week, that the Colts are much healthier than the Dolphins. And we've been on that early, and you've seen the line tick where it's just the favorite has switched. I don't know if it was all due to our information or sharps out there or what have you. But the Dolphins have a young offensive line, Achane playing through a calf issue, Tyreek Hill with some issues, but most importantly, it's defensive issues for the Dolphins. 5 of their top 8 secondary players, safety and corner, have injury issues or are out. They've got linebacker issues still. They added Matthew Judon, and it was unprecedented to us, and we consulted with guys like Norv Turner and others that help us out to switch from a base 3-4 to a 4-3 during training camp. Now, I get it. Most teams are hybrid, but they made that switch during training camp. And so I think the Dolphins are among the more injured teams to start out this season.
Doc, there are a number of interesting spots that we can look at, but occasionally we have to be reminded of some injuries, and I think that applies to Tampa Bay, especially Tristan Wirfs. I know there's other elements that have dropped the 6 score for the Bucs offense. That feels like the biggest to me. What can your team tell us about Tampa Bay going into this divisional game?
Well, there's no question Tristan Wirfs is big. Not only is he left tackle, blind side, etc., he is far and away their best offensive lineman. He allows them to switch protection to the other side, right, and leave him on an island, and that's not the case anymore. But add to that, of course, the fact that their wide receiver room is still decimated with Chris Godwin and McMillan, etc. That's a big issue. K-Dot not 100%. Vita Vea with a foot issue, nose tackle, is playing, but boy, not 100% with a foot is not good when you're already 350 pounds and you got 2 other 300 plus pound players pushing up against you, and you have to anchor with that foot. And so, yes, that's what makes Tampa less healthy than their opponent, Atlanta, this week, even with Darnell Mooney out.
Doc, again, we appreciate it so much. 2:30, he'll be live on SportsGrid for updates. I'm sure they'll talk the Sunday Nighter. But quickly, before we let you go, Xavier Worthy injured almost immediately on Friday night. What is the outlook for the Chiefs' year number 2 wide receiver?
Dislocated shoulder, and I should have been better on that on Twitter, but I was at the Savannah Bananas game with my kids that day, but at Petco Park. But anyways, similar to Darnell Mooney, not done for the season, can play with a harness, but a couple weeks, likely injured reserve short term and surgery at the end of the season. But unfortunate friendly fire injury there.
How was the Savannah Bananas, Doc? Good? Thumbs up?
It was bananas. I mean,
Right.
I mean, like, honestly, it's like, was there even baseball being played? There was some, nonstop music the whole time.
Yeah. Doc, we appreciate it so much. Everybody get over to sixscore.com. We're back with you for the whip around next.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football, because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more, because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So game 1, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
I
was like, Jalen Hurts. I was like, and then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, that's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on Pro Football Today, going through every single one of these games, the bets, the leans, the props, the top shots that we have for you over the next 30 minutes. Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi, we begin in Washington. A 6.5-point spread for Washington at home. That's what they lay to the New York Giants. Total checking in at 45.5. Joe, what are you betting here? Well, Commanders Giants.
I would take the Giants, like I said, with the points. I lean to the under in the matchup. But if we're talking just receivers in this ball game, you know my guy is Wan'Dale Robinson. 30.5 for Russell Wilson. Again, everybody looking at Malik Neighbors. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. He's the pocket rocket slot receiver. 30.5. If we're talking Washington in this matchup, got to go to Zach Ertz, the tight end. 32.5 really came on with Jaden Daniels, especially during the playoff run. He's that security blanket. We know about the front seven with now Abdul Carter and Thibodeau for the New York Giants. They're going to put pressure on the linebackers. They got to spy Jaden Daniels. That could open up Zach Ertz.
I love the Giants plus 6.5. Ooh. I understand the schedule is tough, and maybe I'm wrong about the amount of times this team can win. I do trust them to cover. The defensive line should be superb, and we always hear about how Rodgers is going to elevate quarterback play in Pittsburgh. Maybe. Russell Wilson is definitely going to elevate quarterback play with the Giants. Between Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito, Russ is going to cook with the addition and the upgrade in wide receiver talent he plays with, because Malik Neighbors is that good. I think the Giants hang, if not surprise, the Washington Commanders. In Jacksonville, Joe, the number starts to climb over the summer. 2.5 for the Jaguars. Now 4.5 as we approach kickoff against the Carolina Panthers. Total in this one between 45.5 and 46.
Seeing the total drop, I like the total a lot in this matchup. I think we can get points aplenty. Now, there is some potential thunderstorms later in the ball game, so just keep an eye out for that. We should be clean for about 3 quarters. I believe Liam Cohen and that offense are going to utilize Trevor Lawrence. I think Tank Bigsby could have a big day. I lean to Jacksonville in this matchup, but my best play is the over 45.5. I do have Parker Washington, like I mentioned, over the 11.5. I'm staying off the big players in this ball game, but I do believe we could blow through the total.
Travis Hunter, I cannot wait for the debut. We'll see when he plays defense, but it is now being reported we will know when he's going to play offense. It's every single time the offense is out there. Travis Hunter, if he only played offense, still would have been a top 5 pick. Probably a Jaguar. They just wouldn't have had to trade up for Travis Hunter. Or maybe he actually would have gone to the New England Patriots. I don't know if they could have passed on offensive line. Travis Hunter, I think, and I've talked about this, will catch a screen pass on the first play of the game to set the tempo. I'm on his over 4.5 receptions, and I'm on his over 45.5 receiving yards. I cannot wait to watch this debut. I do lean actually towards Jacksonville. I don't love how this number, though, continues to climb. You've missed out on the best of it. Pittsburgh in New York. New Jersey, they lay 3. Total in this one, 37.5. I'm all about Breece Hall over the 65.5 rushing plus receiving. I think playing next to Justin Fields will give Breece Hall bigger rushing lanes and even more dump downs. I'm backing Breece Hall. Who are you backing?
I'm backing the Jets outright today. Plus the money line for the New York Jets. Also plus the 3 points. I do believe in Justin Fields. I believe in Aaron Glenn. I just believe the Jets have younger, better players than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I did take Justin Fields plus 240 for an anytime touchdown. I'm on Garrett Wilson over the 52.5 receiving. Keep an eye out for LSU tight end / hybrid Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor, 23.5. Why?
You couldn't even sneak it in. Like, you wanted to let people know LSU. Oh, you in this LSU. All right.
All they do is put out talent. They do. Burrow, Daniels, Neighbors, Thomas, Chase, Jefferson.
Don't lead
How
with
many
Burrow.
more? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Come on.
Don't lead with Burrow. You're not a Burrow guy anymore. New England laid 2.5 against the Vegas Raiders. Maybe the team hit by injury the most here in week number 1. Probably either New England or Tampa Bay. Their star cornerback, Christian Gonzalez, out for this football game. Will Campbell, I believe, will play, but was questionable in the lead up to this game, so maybe not 100%. New England is a 2.5-point favorite. This total keeps elevating, though, up to 44.5.
Yeah, I'm not buying the total. And
I would play under. I'm not loving it, but I would play under.
I'm not in love with the total either. I do like Pete Carroll in Las Vegas on the road. Wow. I know people are buying in. This line, to me, should be 3, especially. So basically, you're telling me there's no home field advantage with the New England Patriots and an upgraded head coach, because they should be at least a 3-point favorite in this matchup. From a talent perspective, if they're the second-best team in the AFC East and having a 7.5 win total, this should be a 3.5 point number. I'm sorry. I just don't buy it. I like Las Vegas on the road over Brock Bowers. I do believe you, though, under the total, because we know about the offensive balance for Pete Carroll. He wants to run it with Ashton Genty in that physical offensive line. They're going to sustain drives and keep potentially Drake May on the sidelines. Not sold on Vrabel. Big picture, elevating this team to 10 wins.
Add it to my card, under 44.5. The more I look at it, I disagree with this climbing just because Gonzalez is out. The Raiders want to run it. New England, again, where there's not big-time explosion coming from that side of the ball to take advantage of a bad Raiders defense. I'm going under the 44.5. Saints-Cardinals, we're head-to-head here, and it is what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this is one of those spots you're boxed in. You liked it so much in the summer, you can't zigzag off a bad number. Give me the Saints 6.5 in New Orleans.
Good luck. I hope they get smashed today. I did like this when it was 4.5. I took it in the offseason. I believe Arizona's the dark horse in the NFC this year. Are they going to win an NFC championship? No, but I do believe they potentially could steal the NFC West. I believe in Kyler. You think about the games as well early on. They went to Buffalo last year as a 6.5-point dog, lost that matchup 34-28. I believe it's a bounce back from Marvin Harrison in year number 2, like James Conner. I believe in Kyler. I believe in Gannon, too. And Kellen Moore making his first start as head coach. This is different responsibility. He's got the rat, human turnover machine, baby.
Listen, I think that Kellen Moore can surprise. But I'll make this case and I can tie the next game into it so easily. I think Cincinnati is much better than Arizona. And I think the Saints are just as bad, if not maybe a little bit better than Cleveland. 2-point difference of number. The Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites on the road? You're telling me they'd be flirting with maybe double digits at home? Come on. Give me the Saints plus the 6.5. Give me Joe Burrow and the Bengals to start hot. That's what the preseason was for. First half team total over 13.5 for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. One of my favorite plays on our slate today. Now we send it over to the former Joe Burrow.
That's fine. Now, everybody could say, LSU couldn't win a week 1 matchup. Brian Kelly proved them wrong against Clemson. But you know what? Sometimes a tiger doesn't change their spots, all right? They can't win week number 1 in the Bengals, all right? And I don't think they win this game. I have the Browns with old man Joe Flacco plus the 5.5. We're seeing market movement down to 4.5. I just think the Browns, just a series perspective, potentially match up well. And as long as they get competent quarterback play, don't turn the football over with Joe Flacco, I think it's a lower scoring game and somehow, some way, could go down to a field goal.
Ugliest game on this slate. It's Indianapolis and Miami, a 1.5-point line for the Colts. I would lean towards like Tyreek Hill props here for me. Tua Tagovailoa, if they're healthy, maybe the offense breaks out. I do not like this football game.
I do. I like the Colts. I think they run it, throw it. I just think they're more physical. I think they have a better head coach. And again, I think they have a better rushing attack with Jonathan Taylor. He could go through his number. And I think I've said it all offseason. Mike McDaniel, first coach fired. This team is gutless.
Falcons-Bucks. It's in Atlanta. It's a pick'em line. Total 47.5. I expect Bucky to find the end zone. I slightly lean under due to defenses that I think will be a little bit better. But I kind of thought I'd get a better bet. I thought this would be maybe in the low 50s with the offensive talent that's out there.
Well, I really like the over. Last 7 games in the Dome, and I'm talking about Atlanta, in the series, they have averaged 55.5 points per game. Give me the over 47.5. I like Tampa.
I will say, no Darnell Mooney. Drake London could go wild. Last year, Mooney missed the final week of the regular season. He had almost 200 yards in the football game. We get to the 4 o'clock window next on Pro Football Today.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So game one, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
Oh, I
was like, yeah, Jalen Hurts. And then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, that's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today, we enter the 4 o'clock window here for the breakdowns in what is a game I am actually happy I backed away from. Denver and Tennessee. Over the summer, I thought to myself, come on, that's too many points. Cam Ward, he's got to be able to cover a number. I'm not going to lay the points with Denver. I would still rather take 8.5 with the first overall pick, but this is not a great spot here in elevation against a Broncos defense that did feast on bad quarterbacks. And while Cam Ward is, I don't think, a bad quarterback, he's a debuting quarterback. It's a tough spot for the youngster.
It really is. But, now we're seeing 7s up to 8.5.
Yeah,
I mean, we're seeing a similar line movement to what we saw the Eagle-Dallas game, right? And Dallas covered that. It opened at 6.5 and balloons to 8.5. I still lean to Denver. My best play in this matchup would be the under, 42.5. I think they're not going to open up the kitchen sink, I don't believe, with Cam Ward. They're very inexperienced at the wide receiver position. Outside of Ridley, I don't see them having chunk plays over Surtain and that secondary today. I think it's more ball control, play within the scheme. I like the under 42.5.
I'm interested in the R.J. Harvey numbers. I'm not even necessarily saying that there is a discount, but if Denver is up by margin, they may want to get the youngster a ton of carries, and he's an explosive back. It makes for a fun little spot here. Seahawks-Niners, Joe, the San Fran number climbing a little bit here. McCaffrey scared everybody. He's going to play in this game. Divisional matchup. On the road for Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. What do you like?
I like the Seahawks here. I'm not buying into San Fran. All of a sudden, just everybody's healthy, everybody's great, and they're going to go on the road. And think about this, the dominance that they have had in recent years in Seattle where they've walked in and basically covered and won by double digits. Why isn't the line at least 3 in this matchup? I mean, it's Sam Darnold making his first start for the Seahawks. They lose DK. There's some offensive question marks, but they can run the football. I believe Seattle's more consistent in this game running the football than San Fran with McCaffrey. I can't buy in with the calf injury.
Christian McCaffrey could retire before kickoff, and the Niners would be more consistent running the football than Seattle.
All right.
Kyle Shanahan's always had a great run on offense no matter what. Seattle's offensive line, I don't think it's just magically fixed because they drafted Gray Zabel. I would take the 49ers in that spot there. Green Bay, Detroit, I am taking the Green Bay Packers. Laid the 1.5-point spread here. I think the Lions have questions that everybody knows but have decided to forget about. Offensive line changes, both coordinators gone. What is Jared Goff going to look like? Heck, he's outdoors, usually never a comfortable spot for Goff. I'll take Micah Parsons and a big impact here for a team that should lean on Josh Jacobs in the run game. I'm also on Jacobs over 17.5 rush attempts in this one.
I have to take a Green Bay with the spread. I want to see what they have. Again, I don't love this game in that capacity. Total-wise, I'm perplexed. I want to take the under. But again, if you're Green Bay, you cannot just rely on Josh Jacobs. You have to put the ball into Jordan Love's hands. 234.5 to me. I need to see he's got to get over that. I'm going to bet him over today. And again, I like Laporta. I like some of the tertiary wide receivers. Jamison Williams at 52.5, I believe, 53.5. I think breaks out with a huge performance.
Rams, Texans in L.A., a field goal number. Total between 43 flat, 43.5 here, Joe. And I think we're a little aligned in this spot. I like the over in this game. I think that we've spent all offseason worrying about Stafford. And while I agree with the worries, week 7, week 8, maybe Garoppolo plays. Stafford's playing here. I think there's plenty of offensive talent in this game. I'm also a little lower on the Rams defense, I think, than everyone else. I take the over in Rams-Texans at 43.
It's my late 4 o'clock window over. I like the over the best play, but I do like the Texans as an underdog. Again, especially now with Joe Mixon out. They're going to pound it with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb as much and rely on that. You have Nico Collins. You have Jaden Higgins making his first career start from Iowa State. I want to see those playmakers step up. Noel as well could be an option in the prop market, but I think it's Houston outright, upset special. But I like the over. I think this game gets into the 50s.
Bills-Ravens is booked in the 50s, 50.5 when you see that total. Baltimore the favorite. They will close as the favorite. I don't know. You think they get up to 3, Joe? Can we get a 3? Can we get a 3? Can we get a 3?
Buffalo's been a dominant home team.
Baltimore's favored.
It's the rematch factor. I love the money line. Give me even money. I don't even want.
You love Buffalo.
I love Buffalo today.
One of your favorite sides.
No, Jets, Arizona, Cleveland, Indy. Those are my favorite sides today.
But you're back
late
in
night,
Buffalo.
But I don't even want the 1.5. This game, to me, is not going to come down to a point. I think if Buffalo wins, they win convincingly, touchdown or more, and I'd take it on the money line and even money.
Look, sidewise, I find myself actually now starting to lean towards Buffalo. I think the cop-out but correct answer is, can you get it live? First team's up. Whoever's up 7-0, live spread 3.5. Good by me. I think that's this game landing inside a field. Do you think either side gets blown out? Maybe. Did you see a blowout?
It's possible.
It'd be tough for a blowout.
What happened last year in Baltimore?
Yeah, it was a
blowout.
blowout.
It was a blowout.
Tell you what.
You don't think Josh remembers that game? You don't think they remember that game as well?
Hard to blow out the Ravens, though.
But I'm just saying, the last game everybody remembers is the playoff win.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Intel pouring in.
Wow.
Intel
Love Buffalo.
New best.
Joe Public.
Change it. Props-wise, Joe, I think this is a game we'll both be invested in.
Yes.
Mark Andrews, one of my favorites on the day. 44.5. It's light. No Isaiah Likely. Last year, Likely missed one game. Andrews was in for almost 70 yards and a touchdown with 7 targets and 6 catches. I know it was against Cincinnati, but I expect Mark Andrews to be heavily involved. And, hey, I don't think a little revenge narrative factor hurts us here.
No, not at all. I told you I'm on James Cook, 54.5. Kincaid, 31.5. Keon Coleman, 36.5. If we're looking Baltimore, I would take a shot on Lamar, 46.5 rushing, but I'm going to play that from an in-game, see if I can get it in the 30s. Rashad Bateman's got to be the guy. Light number in the 35.5. I think he blows through it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see the tone of this football game here, Joe, because you see the total. It's so high for an opening week game, right? There's a part of it that's maybe this could be an under. I think the defense is supposed to be better for Baltimore. But then again, you remember, Buffalo does not score under 27 at home. I mean, I think it happened once last season, including the playoffs.
The lowest game I can remember was 24-21. They beat the Patriots at the end of the year.
Yeah, that was the one time. I think that was the only game that they were under 27 from a team total perspective in this spot. So I think you could sell me on like a Bills team total play if you want to try and get a little cute with it.
I'm going to sell you something in next segment, but I also put in a touchdown parlay, all quarterbacks.
All right, so here's what we'll do then. Here's what we'll do. Best bets and an extended Sell Me Something with Joe Lisi right here on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole lot of money in there. Boy, I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So game one, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
I
was like, yeah, Jalen Hurts. I was like, and then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, that's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today on SportsGrid, getting you ready for the start of an NFL Sunday. Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi, in-game live is next, and we will be with you all day here on SportsGrid throughout the games. We're going to do our best bets, and then everybody's favorite, a little sell me something here. We held it to the very end here, Joe. People were wondering, are we going to get to sell me something? We're going to get it to the very end. We start with the best bets, though. Your favorite bet here to start an NFL Sunday.
If you follow the show for the past couple of seasons, you know I give out totals for the most part. So there was one total I like and one total I love. So the one total I actually love happens to be in Jacksonville. Now we're seeing movement come down from 46.5 down to 45.5. I believe this game could get into the 50s. I believe in Liam Cohen. I believe in a bounce-back spot out of Trevor Lawrence. We saw Bryce Young and that offense move at the end of the regular season with Dave Canales. You have playmakers across the board, even at the running back positions. Chuba Hubbard, Tank Bigsby. I mean, the list goes on and on. Give me points aplenty in Jacksonville. I think we get into the 50s. It's coming down now. Good. That's what I want. Over 46.5. Even though it's lower.
No, I like it, Joe. I do. I think you're onto something here. I don't think the Carolina defense has really figured this thing out over the offseason. We'll see if Bryce does his part. For me, I'm going to another divisional dog. Started with Dallas on Thursday, continued with the Chargers on Friday, and now it's the New York Giants' turn here on Sunday. Plus 6.5 on the G-Men. Brian Dable, I still believe in you. Malik Neighbors and Russell Wilson, this offense will be much better. We're in year number 2 of a star in Malik Neighbors and the upgrade at quarterback that is Russell Wilson that is just not being talked about enough. And the defensive side of the football for the Giants takes a big step forward with Defensive Rookie of the Year favorite and eventual winner Abdul Carter playing alongside Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and one of the 25 best players in the National Football League, sexy Dexter Lawrence. I think Washington can be fine. The Commanders last year played the Giants twice. Neither game they would have covered a 6.5-point number despite winning both of those games. In fact, Washington last season, in their 9 wins, only 2 of them were by more than 6. In their last 9 wins, including playoffs, only 2 were by more than 6 points. The points are valuable. We're taking them with the New York Giants. Deep breath. Relax. We trust. Now we have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Lisi, this is where you really shine, and you've had a great show. Let me tell you. I think you've been on it. Nice to see. I'm not that I was worried. No, I'm just saying.
Nice to see.
Nice to see. Like if Jamar Chase has a big game, nice to see. I'm not worried he's going to have a big game, but it's nice to see. Absolutely.
I always have a big game.
Right here on a Sunday. We know it. You're a Sunday showstopper. Sell me something.
What if Justin Fields is the real deal and a passing quarterback? Forget the run. Forget the curve, Ricky. Bring him the heater, right?
Oh, no.
225 for Justin Fields over this garbage secondary in Pittsburgh.
Whoa, what about Jalen Ramsey?
Please, he's old. Law, you make it sound like he just graduated Tallahassee. Give me a break. Justin Fields opens it up. He's going to be like, bing, bing, bing. 225 plus and plus 320. Justin Fields has a huge day through the air, not on the ground.
That would be stunning. That would be absolutely stunning. Though he actually did get through that number multiple times last year in the few chances he had to start for Pittsburgh. So who knows? Maybe this is your year. For me, and then we're going to get a couple of extra out of Lisi, if I'm going to back the Niners today, I don't want to back them small. I don't want to back San Francisco to be just a little bit better than Seattle. I think they're much better than Seattle. Typically, the Niners are much better than Seattle. You mentioned why isn't this spread 3? Last year, it was in Seattle on a Thursday night with no Christian McCaffrey. In fact, it was 3.5. The Niners won by 12. Give me the Niners minus 9.5 at plus 300. If the Niners get the job done here, which I think they will, I think they get it done by double digits. Now, give me this touchdown score parlay you've been sitting on the whole time.
All right, so I cooked this up in the lab in the break, all right?
Yeah.
Anytime touchdown, mobile quarterbacks.
Okay, here we go.
Fields at plus 240.
Okay, you just said he was going to throw. All right, here we go.
Yeah, but he could score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting 80 yards on the ground.
Fair
I'm
enough.
expecting a touchdown, plus 240.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels at plus 170 for an anytime.
Okay.
Kyler Murray plus
Whoa,
190.
little scoop.
Pays 25 cents. How does that not lose? How does that not lose?
I think you're saying that correct. How does that not lose? That definitely loses. You're saying it right. How does that not lose? I don't know. You know what? Because Joe Lisi and Kevin Walsh start the NF. By the way, honestly, I was looking at Tua to throw 4 touchdowns.
Oh, come on.
It's almost 13-1. Come on, baby. Big job.
Guess what, golfers? Vegas isn't just casinos and pool parties. In fact, there are 50 golf courses within a 15-mile radius of the Strip, all boasting beautiful desert oasis landscapes. So, if you're looking for a break from the action, consider hitting the links. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Donnie, the season is 6 months. 5 if you check out in September. You're gonna have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month, that is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're gonna win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's the Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I don't like it. Does he think he's playing on the opening kickoff? Does he want to get a handoff at that point?
I mean, he's involved in the program. Here's the problem with James
Why do coaches even run out with the football team? Like, Andy Reid doesn't run out with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but it's the NFL. This is college
what about
kids.
High school, college basketball? Do those
They're
guys
like a
run out
father figure. Well, they used to be like a father figuring. Now the kids are making more than the coach.
SportsGrid's